Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SPORTS365 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SPORTS365. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up, 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com, use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. Okay, yesterday I laid out a conspiracy theory that Jon Gruden would be the next LSU coach. I'm not backing off that until there's someone not named Jon Gruden as the LSU coach. But I'm going to tell you what have complicated the LSU search and makes it more likely for someone like Jon Gruden or someone in his stratosphere to wind up as the LSU coach. Brian Daboll, a name I'm going to throw out there as well because of his NFL ties and his ties to the SEC and Nick Saban. Keep all that in the back of your mind while I'm talking about this and why it might not be what people want at LSU. Number 5, the new president has to step into a mess here with football. Before this person has even been hired, they're stepping into a mess. Now, could they have stepped into a mess with Brian Kelly a week from now when they hire him, and then he decides to fire Brian Kelly and fire Scott Woodward and move on? Yeah, that's probably the best thing. So whoever the new president's going to be, they're down to a few candidates. They're going to name one next week. They have to step into a mess where they are not really hiring the football coach. They have an athletic director, which we'll get to in a second, that is nebulous at this point, and a lot of involvement from people who normally are not as directly involved in the hiring of a coach at any level of any athletics. Number 4, there is essentially no AD. What Jeff Landry did yesterday to Scott Woodward was essentially, and I hate to be graphic here, I don't hate to be, but it's true, he castrated him. That's it. He just clipped him right off and carterized it, and that's it. He doesn't have any power in this football search. He's still the athletic director, though, which is weird because he got fired by the governor in essence yesterday, but there's still other sports like basketball is starting now. He's in charge of all that. So are you going to have a football AD and then Scott Woodward is going to stay, or are you just firing Scott Woodward altogether? And look, let's not forget, for all of his faults with football at Texas A&M and at LSU, I mean, he has done some good things for the other sports. LSU won a College World Series, replacing a legendary coach with the guy he brought in. They won a couple of women's basketball titles.
A couple of national championships of baseball, too.
Yeah, a couple of national championship baseball. So he has won national titles in other sports. Kim Mulkey is there for a great many reasons, but because Scott Woodward was like, you know what? I'm going to go get Kim Mulkey. And now they're one of the best women's basketball programs in the country. So, you have to incorporate that into his job performance assessment. Now, football has expensive buyouts, but guess what? Scott Woodward is not the only AD who's done that. Guess who else has done it? Every other AD, because that's the market. Now, did he set the market too high? Did he go overboard? Yes, he absolutely did. But let's punish him for the sins he's committed, not the ones he hasn't, or the ones that he's not completely guilty of. Let's be fair in our assessment of what his job performance was at LSU. And if he's going to be fired, which it appears that he is, okay, but then bring in somebody else. It's not like there's not other ADs out there that can come in and do the job. He won't be the last AD there. And so why all the circus? Number 3, the talent pool has likely shrunk. Now, if you were Lane Kiffin right now and the LSU job opened, and you might have thought to yourself, well, I really would like to stay at Ole Miss. You know, Florida is an interesting consideration. But, man, that LSU job, I mean, like every coach who goes there wins. Everybody but BK, everybody who goes there wins. Man, I'm going to have my agent call about that one. Let's that one I'm interested. Like, I'll take a listen. Yeah, and look, Lane Kiffin was on Twitter last night and saw that stuff. I know that because Lane Kiffin is on Twitter more than anybody in the world. He loves it. So what do you think he thinks now? If he wanted that job at all, I guarantee you he probably doesn't want it right now. It would take some big convincing because, man, I don't know. I'm not like the governor of Mississippi isn't, pulling strings on me. There's an AD here. There's a president. We already know what our NIL setup is going to be. There's a lot of known here as where LSU has now been thrown into a vast cavern of unknown. Number 2, how qualified is the committee? Now, this is the head of the committee right there who was surprised to hear that all of a sudden this was on his plate yesterday.
Imagine that.
Which doesn't surprise me given the way that politicians nowadays work through the press conference and not through the necessary channels of getting things done. So who's on this committee? How qualified are they? Are there football people on this committee? How many football people? What football people? From what era do they hail from? Do they understand who's the best in the modern game? Or are they just going to go down a list of, all right, everybody in the room who's heard of this guy, raise your hand. And then the one who wins that vote the most is the guy we go to. Because usually that's what happens with committees. It's kind of how Hollywood studios cast a movie. Like, who's going to be the next Batman? All right, we could go with this guy who you don't know, or everybody's heard of this guy. Let's go with him. Maybe the other guy's maybe he's better for the role. But, hey, guess what? Ben Affleck, right? So that's kind of how this feels like to me it's shaping up. And number 1, the governor is involved. Yes, this is a picture of Jeff Landry as a clown, and yes, I did make it. And look, if this offends you, I'm sorry. I am sorry that he's on your team and you may like him. But he has done clown stuff around this football program before. Lest we remember him bringing in his own live tiger from Florida.
Omar,
the live tiger from Florida. God knows where that poor tiger came from, too, especially if it was from a tiger farm in Florida, and brought it into the Alabama game only for LSU to lose and him to make some smarmy comment about the damn tiger. He went on the news and said the reason they're not winning is because Mike the Tiger is not a real tiger anymore. He's not here. Well, that's not the reason they were losing. It had nothing to do with the damn tiger. It just they weren't very good that year. So this is a guy who really likes to get out in front of microphones and cameras. He loves it, and he really stepped in it yesterday, whether he realizes it or not. Now, he did release a statement saying he will not be the one picking the football coach, but he made it clear that he's going to have an influence on this process from the fact that when they decided to fire Brian Kelly, do you know where that meeting was? It was at the governor's mansion. So he has inserted himself into this process for better or for worse, and believe me, it's for worse. The man is not an athletic director. He's not a university president. He should stick to what he knows. But from what I can tell, that's not really all that much either because he has time to jump in this thing that he really should have nothing to do with other than making sure whatever state funds flow into LSU for athletics are properly distributed. That's your job. That's it. It's not your job to run the athletic department, but apparently you have taken that on. And essentially fired an AD in the process. This is not good. No, look, somebody's going to get this job and somebody's going to make a lot of money for it. But he's antagonized the agents as well. There's a lot going on here that has really messed up LSU's chances to get what could be a great coach or somebody who is, in demand with other schools. I mean, I'll just say, say you're John Summerall. LSU is a perfect move for you. It's not far, but if LSU offers you the job, Florida State offers you the job, Florida offers you the job, LSU to me would be the third. Penn State, they would be fourth. Every job that came before that that's equal size as LSU would push LSU down the list because I at least know who my boss is at all those other places. That's a problem. And I know that, if I go to Penn State, that Josh Shapiro is not making the call. So far, Ron DeSantis is not making the call, the Florida coach. He hasn't said a word about it. So I assume he's not going to be dumb enough to do what Jeff Landry just did. But that's kind of the history in Louisiana. The politicians do dumb things. Well, that's everywhere, but really in Louisiana, they've raised it to an art form, much like their gumbo. Well, that's going to do it for us. It's time for the carnival.